what is the source of our worth and value?
This day of reflection from its inception was the brainchild of Father Steve Orr, whose pastoral concern was that Catholics would have the opportunity to think more deeply and more clearly about the many issues and challenges that confront all of us at life's end, and to think about them from within the rich resources of our Catholic tradition. In particular, he shared with me that several OLIH parishioners were suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease, 6 in all. And so the parish, he thought, would do well to pause and reflect on what it means to walk with the terminally ill, and how Catholics approach death and dying. Today, we'll allow our gifted and faith-filled presenters, through lecture and breakout sessions, to walk with you through the many dimensions of the mystery of death and dying: spiritual, psychological, familial, ethical, medical, legal dimensions that confront us when a loved one, or we ourselves, face the reality of death. They will help you today, I hope, to feel more confident in thinking and talking about those many dimensions of death and dying, talking with loved ones, with medical professionals, and with others. In particular, from within our Catholic perspective.
Whether it was Calcutta or Washington, D.C. or Miami or Des Moines, there are some common denominators of issues that are really important to us. The issues like being with our family, being at home, being comfortable, having our spiritual needs addressed, receiving sacraments. The big challenge has become, I think, that dying has become a whole lot more complicated and a whole lot more difficult in the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It's very different for our generation today than it was for a generation before us. And here are some of the ways that that's true. A generation ago, when someone received a terminal diagnosis, the time was usually fairly short between when they received that diagnosis and a time of death. It was usually a sudden onset of illness, a heart attack, a stroke. That now, thank God, we have wonderful medicines that can help us live longer. So then the challenge becomes, what changes? You know, a generation ago, when that happened so quickly, families were nearby, families were called together, the loved one who was sick was often still aware and conscious and able to communicate with family and able to express love and forgiveness, granting forgiveness, asking for forgiveness. Those things that happened when someone was near the end of life, when they were consciously aware of it, that are sometimes difficult to happen today.
You know, elderly patient with adult children, and there's no consensus among them. So I don't know if Rosie would tell me that this is statistically relevant, but we always laugh that it's the child that comes in from California who's the one that disagrees with the rest of them. And then the individuals that say, you know what, I don't want to be playing God. I'll let God decide when it's time to call mom home or call my husband home. And those are conversations that can be very challenging. So when you've got a lack of consensus, we have a determination. And we ask if there's an advance directive or somebody who's been designated as the medical power of attorney, which is very different than the financial power of attorney. And oftentimes what we think has been the most effective, and in particular with our chaplains, and I'm sure the nurses would say similarly, is we ask them, what would your patient want? What would the patient want? What would your mom want? What would your sister want? Because if they're saying, what do you want? The human instinct is for you to say, I want my mother here forever. I want her sitting at my Christmas table. I want my dad to be around for a graduation. I want my sister to be here for my daughter's wedding. Very, very difficult if you're making that decision for yourself, and people don't know what to do, and they're trying to discern what's selfish behavior and what's loving behavior. But if you really put it in the context of what would the patient want, makes it much, much easier. So you being able to articulate that either for yourself or for somebody that you love, very, very important. So what are the things?
Our worth and value is dependent upon whether we're liked by other people, whether we're loved by other people, whether we're intelligent and smart, whether we're productive, whether we're sexy, whether we're rich. All the things that our culture tells us that makes us of worth and value. It's all lies. It's all lies. The thing that is the source of our worth and value is that we are beloved by the Creator of the universe. And that's something that nothing can take away from us. That's not lost when we lose our productivity. That's not lost when people think ill of us. That's not lost when I lose my mind. I'm a victim of galloping senility myself. That's not lost when any of those things are taken away.